So welcome back, and today we are going to talk about the most important section of an IQ test, and which is, you may call it maths, you may call it QA, quantitative ability, or you may call it QR, which is quantitative reasoning. Now, to any layman person, you may feel, yes, maths is QA and maths is QR, and even QA and QR are the same. But are they the same? The most important question, or the elephant in the room is, why an IQ test doesn't call it a maths test, and why they are calling it a quantitative ability test or a quantitative reasoning test. Now, the answer stands that the reason is they are not actually checking the maths. So the question comes that it looks like maths, there are equations, there are numbers, there are numericals, there are everything into it, equations, algebra, arithmetic and everything. So why we are not calling it maths? The point is, there are some elements which you have to understand. Let's say if I'm talking about the facets of maths, what are the things which comes to your mind? Now you have done maths right from what? First standard or even the nursery standard. Now, what are the things which comes into your mind? Numbers, theory, concepts, theorems, equations, calculations. But let's now look at some of the adjectives or the facets which gets attached to the QA or the QR. Now you may ask me, is QA and QR the same? The answer is no. I'll come back to the QA and QR part. Abhi to maths ko kill karna hai, so I'll focus on the maths. Okay. So the point what I'm trying to say is, the things which come to your mind, or the adjectives which comes to your mind when you're talking about maths, is very different from the adjectives which comes to your mind when you're handling the QA and the QR. In the QA and the QR, the first word which should come to your mind is an application. The second word which should come to your mind is a logic. The third word is a reasoning, and the fourth word is a rationality, and what is the fifth word? And that is a common sense. So here is the main difference. In one part of the studies which we call is mathematics or maths, which are done in the college, school times and everything, you dealt with all the equations and everything, and the numbers and the theory part. You may know Pythagoras theorem, you know sequence series, you know summation of sequence, exponents and everything. But when we are talking about the QA and the QR, actually there is some paradigm change. Now, logic or rationality or common sense actually will override the maths. Now, I'll try to prove the same thing with taking some examples. But before moving into the examples, we should be very clear what is the thing we are talking about. What kind of an elephant in the room we are discussing about. So now you may ask me, ये क्या बात है, maths नहीं है, वो नहीं है, QR नहीं है. Why it is important for you to know that it is not maths? The reason is, if you will understand that it is maths, तो आप पढ़ेंगे किसके लिए? Maths. और teachers क्या पढ़ाएंगे? They will also teach you maths. Now, the thing is, in an IQ test, what is the difference between a college and a school test and in a kind of an IQ test like CAT or a SAT or a GMAT or a CUET and all? The thing is, you don't have to study maths for it. Okay, you have to study how to apply that concepts with rationality, logic and common sense. In many of my videos, I talked about the perspective, and still I believe the same thing. The perspective is the most important thing when you look at anything. So that's why I am focusing on the difference between the maths and the QA and what the QR. Now, I'll give a perfect example to you. How exactly an example I'll give so that you understand what is the difference between maths, QA and the QR. For example, let's say we are talking about, I am teaching you all about the tools. Let's say I'm talking about this is screwdriver, this is a hammer, this is a nail. अगर मैं पूरे tools की आपको बात कर रहा हूँ तो I am teaching you maths. Okay. Now, if I am teaching you application of it, the same kind of a principles, the same thing which I have taught in the maths, and I'm using logic and reasoning into it, then the maths changes into QA and the QR. So I'm still repeating the same thing. Maths means the theory or the simple application of the theory. But when we talk about QA and the QR, it is not only about the application, it is also about the logic, it is also about the rationality, and the most importantly, it is about common sense. You may know many of the concepts which you might have studied in 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard, and believe me, many of the questions in CAT or GMAT even can be solved by just knowing some simple principles. The point what I'm saying is, you just need an elementary education or elementary understanding of maths. Now, as a teacher, when we talk to students and everyone, the students will keep on saying to you, sir, मैंने तो maths I was very bad in maths, and I was into arts and all, so I left maths in 10th only. So the only point I would want to tell everyone is, you are not being tested for maths. एक जो गेम है वो गेम क्या है कि सिंपल जो चीज़ें आपने स्कूल टाइम्स में पढ़ा है वो तो सभी ने पढ़ा है, उस चीज़ को वो अप्लाई कर रहे हैं विद लॉजिक. ओके, सो विल ट्राई टू टेक सम एग्जांपल्स फ्रॉम कैट ओनली. ओके, स्लॉट 1, आई वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ स्लॉट 1, सो आई रिकॉल दैट टेस्ट वेरी वेल. सो थोड़े से उसी में से क्वेश्चंस लेके, एंड विच आर मोस्ट considered many people as difficult and very typical questions of CAT, and many of the people left the questions, which was very easy if you just needed very elementary understanding of maths. Elementary I mean to say, अगर आपको Pythagoras theorem पता है, अगर आपको simple rules पता है, तो you will be able to do. For example, exponents and roots, simple formula, simple understanding कि exponents में अगर base multiplied है तो exponents plus होगा, minus होगा, multiply में क्या होगा, simple rules which I will try to tell you when I am going to go into some of the questions, which I will show you how easy it was, which many of the people left in the CAT slot 1. Now you may ask me, why you are not talking about the GMAT question. GMAT question logical इतने होते हैं कि उनको many of the questions will not need even a pen. Okay, I'll give an example to you. One of the question which I just recall from one of the even very recent example I will give you. The question stands that what are the maximum, or let's say, why will I talk about the maximum? What are the minimum roots of a quadratic equation? Now, what exactly we have learned in our whole school times and every times is, we look at degree and we will tell two roots. If quadratic equation has a degree of 2, so the roots would be 2. But the question here is not about the maximum number of roots, it's about the minimum number of roots. So minimum number of roots, if you don't understand the concept of quadratic equation and you don't know how in a graph it will stand, you will not be able to answer this question. Many of the people in that scarcity of time and everything will consider, most of the people will give the answer 2. Now, the minimum roots of any quadratic equation, if you plot in a graph, you will know what will be the minimum roots of a quadratic equation. But understanding of that quadratic equation in terms of graph or pictures, or in a better way of saying is, if you have a basic elementary understanding of maths, it would be very easy for you to handle any kind of a GMAT quant test, quantitative reasoning test. Now, why I'm talking about CAT is, I'm talking about CAT 2024 slot 1, because many of the people think that CAT is much more difficult quant than GMAT or CUET or SAT. That's why I'm talking about CAT, and that's why I'm picking some of the questions which Most of the people left it just by looking at the question and believing that this question would be very difficult to solve and which needed just an elementary understanding of maths. One more thing which I want to talk about is the students. Now, students, whenever they are coming to us or any teachers per se, they would say, sir shortcut सिखा दो, कुछ ऐसा तरीका सिखाओ जो जल्दी से हम कर दें बिना मेहनत के and all. So just telling all the students, if you are facing any problems for the QA or the QR for CAT, GMAT, CUET, SAT or any other test, you are not actually having a problem with maths. The problem lies with your elementary education of maths. So the point what I'm saying is, अगर अपने घर जाके आप अपने स्कूल की बुक्स ओपन करके आप 5th से स्टार्ट करके 8th 9th तक पढ़ लो, तो you will be able to handle each and every question of CAT. So the point what I'm saying is, elementary education, understanding of maths is needed, and that is what I can call it as basic understanding of maths. Now, आजकल तो बच्चा इंस्टाग्राम का बच्चा है, तो इंस्टाग्राम या यूट्यूब शॉर्ट्स का किड है. तो these kids actually have what their problem is, attention span is very low. क्योंकि आप कहीं भी देखेंगे ना तो मोबाइल में लोग ऐसे से बस सारे दिन कर रहे होंगे. So what exactly is happening is your mind, it's actually the mind is having a thrill of going through the different things. But for a learning you need to imbibe everything. So imbibe means आपको उसमें प्रैक्टिस करके, लर्न करके, प्रैक्टिस करके सीखना है. लेकिन अगर मेहनत करना इतना आसान होता तो सभी लोग मेहनती होते और सभी लोग सक्सेसफुल भी होते. So what exactly the problem lies with, every other student will not even like to go to their school books, but straight away YouTube पे जाओ, इंस्टा पे जाओ, या आजकल फ्री वीडियोस देखो. And what exactly will happen is how the free videos work. Okay, फ्री वीडियोस का लॉजिक क्या है कि मान लेते हैं कि मैं रेशियो, प्रोपोर्शन या परसेंटेज आपको पढ़ा रहा हूँ. आई विल गिव अ कॉन्सेप्ट टू यू एंड देन आई विल स्टार्ट डूइंग द क्वेश्चंस, एंड you are actually an inactive participant in the whole thing, which maths you is not needed. मैथ्स में आप बचपन से याद करो, अगर एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता था NCERT बुक में, उसके बाद क्वेश्चंस होता था, 15 to 16 क्वेश्चंस होते थे, एंड फिर आप उसका एक आंसर की लास्ट में होता था. एंड इफ यू यूज्ड टू हैव अ प्रॉब्लम, सो द पॉइंट इज यू यूज्ड टू गो टू स्कूल, लर्न द कॉन्सेप्ट, कम बैक, practice the concept, and then the next day you used to ask the doubts to the teacher. Now in this whole exercise, the most important part was not the time when the teacher was talking to you. The most important time was when you were at home and you were handling that 15 to 20 questions of your NCERT book with the answer key at the end of the book. Answer key आपको way नहीं बताएगा, so you will struggle with the way, and that's where the learning happens. So what I'm trying to say is education is like imbibing. लेकिन इंस्टाग्राम वाले लोगों को तो जल्दी जल्दी चाहिए हर चीज़, नहीं होगा. You will never be successful. कोई जिंदगी में शॉर्टकट्स नहीं है, मैथ्स में भी नहीं. The point what I'm saying is, आज की डेट पे अगर आप कोई वीडियो देखते हैं और वो आपको परसेंटेज पढ़ा रहा है, रेशियो प्रोपोर्शन पढ़ा रहा है, वो आपको कॉन्सेप्ट देता है, एप्लीकेशन दिखाने लग जाता है, 5-6 क्वेश्चन वो घंटे 2 घंटे क्लास में लेता है. Now what exactly happens is you may be 100-200 people sitting and you are the inactive participant in the whole thing. So what exactly is happening is, आपको लग रहा है कि आप सीख रहे हो. आपको क्या लग रहा है कि अच्छा इसने मुझे बताया कि रेशियोस हो जाता है 45% ऑफ 100 ऐसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं, इसको ऐसे 4 to 5 कर लो, 100 से मल्टीप्लाई कर लो, it will feel like very easy for you. And when the teacher would start the video and applying the concept, you may feel like सब कुछ सीख लिया, this is what, मुझे सब समझ आ रहा है. आपको समझ आएगा उस समय. The reason being, वो एप्लीकेशन, जब वो जो क्वेश्चंस पिक्ड हैं वो ऐसे ही पिक्ड हैं जो कि उसके कॉन्सेप्ट से सीधे आ जाएंगे. लेकिन क्वेश्चन क्या है कि वही टीचर आपका कैट या जीमैट का टेस्ट बनाने नहीं वाला है. ये है प्रॉब्लम. तो प्रॉब्लम, मेरा पॉइंट क्या है, until and unless you will practice and imbibe that knowledge, you will learn nothing. You may feel like that if you're looking at a video and you're understanding the questions taken by the teacher, you may feel like कि आप learn कर रहे हो, आप learn नहीं कर रहे हो. You are just an inactive participant in a game or you are learning nothing. Just like आप समझो एक soccer game चल रहा है या cricket का game चल रहा है, and you are just like an audience. Every person in the audience, let's say there is a cricket stadium and Tendulkar is playing or any other player, Virat Kohli is playing, you may feel like क्या कर रहा है यार, बॉल आया, एक मारा, सिक्सर हो गया, वो तो हम भी कर सकते हैं. या आपको ऐसा फील होगा, आप सारा ऑडियंस, और इंडिया में तो अगर 140 करोड़ 150 करोड़ लोग बैठे हुए हैं, तो सारे के सारे लोग ये समझ रहे होते हैं, चाहे वो स्टेडियम में हैं, चाहे वो लोग अपने घर पे देख रहे हैं, कि दे नो मोर देन विराट. सो व्हाट दे विल से इज, आप बैठे हुए लोगों के साथ तो लोग क्या कहेंगे, अरे यार इसको तो तुझे स्क्वायर कट करना चाहिए था, ये तो स्ट्रेट ड्राइव होना चाहिए था, यार ये तो इन स्विंगिंग डिलीवरी है, ये तो आउट स्विंगिंग को, अभी हम सभी बात करते हैं कि विराट कोहली आउट स्विंगिंग डिलीवरी को क्यों अब बैट लगाता है. नाउ सी हाउ इट फील्स लाइक. द पॉइंट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज, एनीथिंग व्हेन यू आर इनएक्टिव participant, you may feel like you will understand, you may feel like you're becoming an expert, but believe me, you have no knowledge of it. The point what I'm saying is, rather than looking at videos, आप क्या करिए, आप कॉन्सेप्ट समझ लीजिए, बेस समझ लीजिए. स्टार्ट, आप एक प्रैक्टिस शीट रख लीजिए, एनसीईआरटी की बुक्स की बहुत इनफ है, आप ले लीजिए और वो कर लीजिए. दैट विल वर्क वंडर्स. सो अच्छा, नाउ वो तो क्या ज्ञान. अब हम इस चीज़ को प्रैक्टिकली चेक करते हैं और जाते हैं क्वेश्चंस में और देखते हैं क्या उसमें बहुत मैथमेटिकल एक्सपर्टाइज चाहिए था क्या. चलिए, लेट्स मूव इनटू द.
Now what we're looking at is CAT 2024 slot 1 question. Now this is a medium difficulty level question, but I think I have taken this question mainly to just to tell you the two different approaches. So two different approaches. The one approach is a maths approach, the second is a logical approach. दोनों approach देखते हैं and how exactly is the difference, I'll just tell you. Now in a maths approach, how you will do. Now let's say 10 के ऊपर exponent 1 है, तो इसका the remainder will be 3. Now when 10 has an exponent of 2, the remainder would be 100 divided by 7, and that will give me 7, 30, 28, 2. Now when you look at 10 to the power of 3, what it will become is divided by 7, and this will give me the remainder. Now in this way, I'll keep on moving further and further, and we'll try to see any kind of a sequence or any kind of a repetition if it is happening. Okay. Now what this is basically a typical maths approach. अब इसमें I'll give you an analogy of क्या हो रहा है. Let's say एक ladder. Okay. And there are, let's say, 5 levels in the ladder, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now अगर मुझे सीढ़ी पे चढ़ना है, तो what exactly has to be done? मैं पहले 1 लेवल पे जाऊंगा, then मैं 2 लेवल पे जाऊंगा, 3 लेवल पे जाऊंगा. But in this way, what exactly I am doing is, मैं जब सेकंड लेवल पे जाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, लेट्स मैं फर्स्ट लेवल पे हूँ, तो सेकंड लेवल पे जाने के लिए मैं फर्स्ट से सेकंड में नहीं जा रहा हूँ, मैं वापस बेस लेवल पे आ गया. तो अगर मैं थर्ड लेवल पे जाना है तो मैं 2 से नहीं जा रहा, मैं फिर यहाँ पे आ जाता हूँ. इसका मतलब क्या है कि whenever I am moving to the first level, I am jumping back, then moving to second, then jumping back, moving to third. So this is what exactly I am doing in the traditional maths. हर स्टेप पे मैं 0 से स्टार्ट. Now look at the same thing if मैं इसमें लॉजिक इंट्रोड्यूस करता हूँ. लॉजिक का मतलब क्या होगा कि मैं जब हर स्टेप में ऊपर जाऊंगा, तो मैं पिछला लेवल को आई विल ट्राई टू यूज द प्रीवियस लेवल. सो व्हाट आई विल डू इज, लेट्स से 10 to the power of 1. Okay, I can also write 10 to the power 10 divided by 7, which will give me the remainder 3. 10 to the power of 2, the exponent 2, which you can say as 100 divided by 7, which will give me the remainder 2. Let's say 10 to the power 3. Now, what exactly I'm going to do right now is, इसको हम ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं कि इसमें 10 to the power 1, and I'm going to use this remainder. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to multiply remainder 2 with 10, the extra, the 10 to the power 1 which I have got from here. So I can even write it as 10 to the power of 2, 10. So 2 into 10, that is 20 divided by 7. So this will give me a remainder of 6. The same way, what I'm doing is, I'm using this remainder and trying to reach the next answer. So 10 to the 4 means 6 into 10, 60 divided by 7, which will give me 56, and the remainder will be what? 4. Now let's move to the 10 to the power of 5. Same thing, I'm going to use this remainder to move to this answer now. So what it will give me the remainder right now? 40. 4 into 10, 40, which I divided by 7 is 7 5 is 35, and the remainder would be 5. So the remainder would be 5. Okay, it's not equal to, take it as a 9. Okay, so the remainder would be 5. एक और अप्रोच से देखते हैं. 10 to the power of 2 into 10 to the power of 3, which will give me what? इसका रिमाइंडर कितना था? It was 2, and this 10 to the power 3 का रिमाइंडर कितना था? 6. I'll multiply it 12, फिर मैं divide by 7, and it will give me a remainder of what? It will give me a remainder of 5. So same answer. So I'm just trying to use different logical approaches to reach my answer. Now 10 to the power of 6, when I'm talking about, let's say I'm talking about 10 to the power of 6, I'll use the remainder 5. 5 into 10, 50, 7 7 49, so the remainder would be 1. Now this is a number which I can use. Now, can I expand this form into using this 6 plus some 10 to the power of something? So what if I'm dividing 600 by 6? What is the closest I can get to? 15, 16, 16, 6 are 96. So what I will do is, I can even write the same form as 16, let me write it once again. 10 to the power of 6, 16 into 10 to the power 4. Now I know this remainder is 1. 1 into this remainder is the answer. So what is the remainder of 10 to the power of 4? I've already calculated, it's 4, and it's 4 from here. So basically the answer will be, one to math, and the second I'm trying to use different logics to reach the answer. Even with the remainder I could, after moving to 10 to the power of 7 and 6, can see a pattern repeating, and that also I can use to solve it. But I'm just trying to maneuver using different kind of a logic. So what I wanted to show was, I'm trying to use the power of 1. 1 has a very unique property, so I just used a very different logic to reach my answer. So basically what I'm trying to say is, अगर ये नंबर अगर रिमाइंडर 1 है, तो ये पावर जैसा भी हो सकता है. The point what I'm saying is, अगर 10 to ये 6 कॉमन एक्सपोनेंट है, तो ये चाहे 200 हो जाए तब भी इसका रिमाइंडर 1 ही रहेगा, और 10 to the 6 का अगर 300 भी हो जाए तब भी रिमाइंडर 1 रहेगा. So I'm just showed you one or two approaches, logic as well. How exactly in IQ test, logic has much more relevance, and it will make the question very easy for you. Now let's move to the next example. Now we look at one more question from the same sort. Okay. Now this question, many of the students actually left this question, and let's look at it somewhat from a logical point. Now this question would become very easy if the base is the same. So the point what I'm saying is, if you look at this question, it would be very difficult to solve, but if the bases are fine, then the thing you are going to look at is the exponent. So laws of exponent जो आपने 7th और 8th standard में सीखा है, that will help you solve this thing very easily. But for that, the bases have to be the same. Let's see. Now, a mathematical mind can say that 32768 could be a multiple of 8. But let's see. एक बार check करते हैं. Now, rather उससे पहले एक equation बना लेते हैं. छोटे-छोटे equation बना लेते हैं. तो क्या बना? 1/8. मतलब वो एक ही साइड पे एक सभी बेसिस सेम को एक साइड ले लेते हैं. It will become k-1 and 1/32768 को भी एक साइड ले लेते हैं. So it will become what? 1/k minus 1/3. Now let's check कि इसको चेक करते हैं कि क्या 3276768 करें 8 से 4096 फिर 8 से करें 512 और ये क्यूब है 8. दिस इज व्हाट? ठीक है. So it becomes what it becomes. अगर मैं सिर्फ बेसिस सेम हो गया तो now it will become k-1 is equal to 5 3 minus k by 3k. This is same हो गया exponents का. Laws of exponents simple rule I actually apply. So this becomes 3k square minus 3k 15 minus 5k, which becomes 3k square plus 2k minus 15 is equal to 0, and the question is sum of the real values in quadratic equation is given by minus b by a, which makes it minus 2/3. Now the point I'm trying to make is, question difficult लगा, लेकिन अगर एक लॉजिकल माइंड यूज करें या कॉमन सेंस यूज करें कि क्वेश्चन यार कैट में मुझे पूछा है तो ये जेई का तो टेस्ट है नहीं, तो जरूर कुछ कॉमन सेंस है. कॉमन सेंस अगर ध्यान से देखा जाए तो बेस अगर सेम हो जाए तो ये आंसर बड़ा इजी हो जाए. तो 3 to 7 जो ट्रिक है, जो की है इसमें या लॉजिक है, वो ये है कि 32768 शुड बी द और हैज टू बी द मल्टीपल ऑफ 8, व्हिच वी चेक्ड एंड केम आउट टू बी एक्सपोनेंट ऑफ 5. वो एक्सपोनेंट ऑफ 5 बन गया, बेस हट गया, सारा खेल एक्सपोनेंट का हो गया और फिर दोबारा पूरा लेवल मैथ्स का आपके 8th स्टैंडर्ड में चला गया. So the point what I'm saying is simple, elementary maths, but this question many of the students actually didn't even try it, saying that this question is very difficult, and obviously थोड़ा सा looks में ऐसा feel होता है कि it will be difficult to find. Okay. Now let's look at one more question. This is also in the same slot. Now in this question, basically what it looks like is we are talking about one of the AP, and we need to know the 100th term of the series. Now in this, when you apply a logical mind, what exactly you see is they have given, basically there are 2 equations and 2 variables. The variables, the nth term, as we know, is the formula is, if we are talking about the nth term, the formula would be x plus n minus 1 d. So we are talking about 2 variables here. Okay, if we have the 2 variables, we will be able to know the 100th term. Now, logically, if you're looking at mathematically, you may feel like it may look like a very difficult question, or you may think of a question. This may not look like a question which you should be straight away going into. But then also if you look at logically, it looks like 2 equations with two variables. So two equation, two variables, very easy to understand and answer. So basically same 8th, 9th kind of a level of maths we would be needing. Now let's look at the first equation. Let's make the first equation using this thing. Now fifth term, what it will be? X plus 4d is equal to minus 4. So this is the first equation we have. So when you talk in the second equation, we have 2x plus 5d plus 2x plus 8d x plus 10d plus x plus 12d. I'm using this equation, okay, the nth term equation. So we have 2x, xx. So basically the equation will be 2x and this 5, 10. So it will become plus 4d is equal to 0. So this is the second equation we have. So just subtracting the equation, we have this will go, and the things which will come out is minus x is equal to minus 4, or we can also call it x is equal to 4. If we have x is equal to 4, what will be the value of d? Let's put it here. 4 plus 4d is equal to minus 4. So d becomes your minus 2. So if the d becomes minus 2, put it in the 100th value, what it will be? X is 4 plus 99 into minus 2, which will give you 4 minus 198, which will give you 194 minus. So the point what I'm saying is, logical mind can straight away say that we are talking about a question having two equations and there are two variables, and we have to, if there are two equations, everyone knows it becomes very easy to get to the variables in that.
So what we just saw, we just needed an application of elementary understanding of maths, some logic, some rationality, and some common sense. That's what we used to solve the questions. Now, before ending the video, one more thing I want to talk about is, many of the people think that this whole testing of IQ is actually quite favored for engineers. Actually, it is not. अगर मैथ्स को मैं एलिमेंट्री कर दूंगा तो जो भी लोग मैथ्स में अच्छे होंगे विल नॉट हैव ए कॉम्पिटिटिव एज, इजंट इट? तो यूजुअली आईक्यू टेस्ट वर्बल या डीएलआर को लेवल बढ़ाते हैं, सो दैट मैथ्स जस्ट बिकम्स एन क्वालिफाइंग काइंड ऑफ ए टेस्ट. ओके, तो इट डजंट फेवर्स इंजीनियर्स. Rather, in my understanding, actually, engineers are very bad in verbal. Okay, so in a way, the other non-engineers are much better in verbal compared to the engineers. So I think in a way, it is not only, it is actually going against the engineers in a way. Okay, so try to keep all these things, all these kind of doubts out of your mind. And believe me, engineers, non-engineers, everyone can, rather most of the IIMs right now batch, if you will see, these people will have much more non-engineers compared to engineers. And the most important thing, what exactly happens in these kind of a test is, you actually win or lose in your mind actually. So I always keep on telling my students that actually this is a war of mind. Okay. So you become a winner or a loser in your mind first. So if you will have any doubts like that, I'm talking to the non-engineers people. So you will actually, आप game से पहले या उस test से पहले you have actually lost. So you have become a loser before even entering into the arena. So mind is everything. Okay. So whatever you believe, you become. So the point what I'm trying to say is, अगर आपने test पे जाना है तो believe me, it is even field and you can. Okay, believe the thing, you can win. Okay, once more ending now the video, लेकिन फिर भी let me re-emphasize, let me repeat for you. If you're looking at teachers and they're solving questions, you are learning nothing. द ओनली थिंग इट इज हैपनिंग इज माइट भी उसके सब्सक्राइबर बढ़ रहे हैं या उसके व्यूज बढ़ रहे हैं या उसका यूट्यूब का रेवेन्यू बढ़ रहा है, आपका कुछ नहीं बढ़ रहा है. ओके, सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज रादर देन मूविंग इनटू एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि मैं रेशियो, प्रोपोर्शन, सीक्वेंस, सीरीज मैं क्वेश्चन मैं देखूंगा और वो सॉल्यूशन करता जाएगा टीचर एंड दैट्स इट, दैट्स आई हैव लर्नड एवरीथिंग. इट विल, आपको लग रहा है जैसे कि स्टेडियम में हर आदमी को लगता है कि वो विराट कोहली से ज़्यादा जानता है, सुनील गावस्कर से ज़्यादा जानता है. द सेम चीज़ आपको लग रहा है. ओके, तो अगर सीखना है कुछ ना, तो एक बुक उठाना, एनसीईआरटी उठाओ, कॉन्सेप्ट देखो, कॉन्सेप्ट चाहे आप यूट्यूब से देखो, लेकिन जब प्रैक्टिस करना है ना, टीचर को मत देखो. 20 क्वेश्चन उसके प्रैक्टिस अपने आप करना, इम्बाइब करो. अगर एक जगह से पानी जाता जा रहा है, मान लीजिए एक पानी से फ्लो कर रहा है, तो आप वो सरफेस को कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, लेकिन जिस दिन वो पानी वहाँ खड़ा हुआ और वो इम्बाइब हुआ अंदर, मतलब प्रैक्टिस करके इम्बाइब हुआ, तब वो वहाँ लर्निंग होगा और वो तब सोइल फर्टाइल होगी. ओके, कोई शॉर्टकट नहीं होता है, कोई इजी वे आउट नहीं होता है. ओके, आई एम अबव 40 नाउ एंड आई कैन टेल यू, कोई किसी चीज़ में शॉर्टकट नहीं है. किसी भी चीज़ में जब तक आप रात दिन मेहनत नहीं करेंगे, आपको 5 पैसे भी नहीं आप कमा पाओगे. मैं एग्जाम्पल से ख़त्म कर रहा हूँ आज का वीडियो. ये मेरे बात होगा नर्सरी का. तो माय मॉम एक स्मॉल डिस्टेंस मेरे घर से नर्सरी या जिसे कहीं क्या क्रच या मतलब नर्सरी स्कूल मान लेते हैं. तो मैं नर्सरी स्कूल में मेरी मॉम यूज्ड टू टेक मी. नाउ इट वाज व्हाट मे बी 1 or 2 streets from my house, maybe 100 meters or 200 meters from my house. And let's say for the 1 year she kept on carrying me मेरे साथ, she used to go with me. Now after 1 year even, and now what I felt was that now as a child I am knowing कि मुझे रास्ता आता है, मुझे पता है कैसे जाना है, मुझे I know my path. One day due to some reason my mom was not able to come and she asked me to go to the school because she knows it's just adjacent to one of the street, 100-200 meters from my house, and she was able to see me reaching that place. That is, it was in eyesight distance. And believe me, I got lost in the path. What is the learning here? Until unless you will work it, you will never learn it. आपको लग रहा है कि आपको पता है. The point is, जब तक मेरी मम्मी मुझे कैरी कर रही है, तब तक तो मैं परफेक्ट हूँ उस पाथ में और मैं श्योर हूँ कि वो पाथ मुझे पता है. लेकिन द डे जब मुझे खुद चलना पड़ा, तो आई गॉट लॉस्ट. द सेम प्रिंसिपल विल लाई. सुनने से कुछ समझ आता है, देखने से थोड़ा और ज़्यादा समझ आता है, लेकिन लर्न कब होता है? जब आप उसे करते हैं. मैं समझता हूँ कि आप एक सोशल मीडिया के बच्चे हैं और आप YouTube और Instagram में ही रहना चाहते हैं. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड इट. लेकिन आप अगर कोई टीचर सॉल्यूशंस कर रहा है तो आप यू आर लर्निंग नथिंग. चलो, सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट वीडियो. बाय बाय.